René invited me to talk here today about a research project I conducted with René Bekkers a few years ago, to go into one of the questions she asked herself during the introduction. She said, why do people give? And for me, this is one of the most intriguing questions ever. So today I get the opportunity to share some of the results René Bekkers and I found in this study. So why do people give? And I want you to take a moment to think for yourself the last time you made a donation. Why did you make that donation? And now I will present the results, and then maybe you can see whether it fits within the categories we find. So philanthropy, is it for the love of mankind, which is the literal definition of philanthropy in Greek? Or is it because of other reasons? So why do people voluntarily give away private financial resources to benefit the public good, which is the scientific definition of philanthropy most researchers use? And this is a question in biology, in marketing and economics, in management, in cultural anthropology. Across all these disciplines, scholars are interested to understand why would people give something away from their own to benefit others, to benefit the public good. René Bekkers and I started this project I think in 2006, because we found that people in all these disciplines were working on the same topic, but it was never integrated. All these people never talked to each other to understand why would a psychologist think that people give and why would an economist think that people give. So what we tried to do is survey all the literature that was out there, and we studied over 550 journal articles published in academic literature to try to understand why do people give. This resulted in several publications, and I hope René can share this slide, so if you want to have more information, you can find the results of it there as well. So why do people give? Surveying these 550 journal articles, we came up with 8 mechanisms that capture all the reasons that drive people to make charitable donations. So people may give more. This is a lot, and I have been only given 10 minutes, so I don't have the opportunity to go into detail for all of these mechanisms, but I do hope that why you personally gave the last time is in there. But these mechanisms are, the first one is they perceive a need. They are aware of the needs for donations, and that may trigger them to give. And lots of this awareness comes through being asked. The second mechanisms, fundraisers, charitable organizations, or the media show you there is a need and they ask for your donations. Solicitation is a big mechanism that drives giving, of course. The third mechanism is about the absolute costs and benefits of donations. So when the costs are lower, for example, when you can use tax deductions for your gifts, you're more likely to give more. And when the benefits are higher, for example, if you get rewards, if you can join a circle of friends and you can sit in the front of the opera because you made a donation, you get a benefit, that also drives your giving. The fourth one is people purely care about the beneficiaries of a gift. So this is the altruism mechanism. They only care that someone else is better off because they made their donations. They see the refugees fleeing from Syria and they only care that those people have a better life. They give out of pure altruism. The fifth and the sixth and the seventh mechanism I have the opportunity to discuss in more detail, which I will do. But the eighth one is about efficacy. People do care what happens with their gift and that the gift is spent effectively by the organizations. And this is all about the way they perceive this. And unfortunately, the way they perceive the efficacy of a gift is not always as efficacy of the gift is spent. So it's about the perception of the people of this. And for organizations, it's very hard to explain how effective their gift is spent, because most of the people only give small amounts of money, and they really are not interested to learn what happened with that money. They're not really open to communication about the efficacy of gifts, and this is a true challenge for charitable organizations. So the 3 mechanisms I get to discuss in more detail. The reputation mechanism, the psychological rewards mechanisms, and the values mechanisms. So first, reputation. People give to strengthen their social reputation. If you make publicly a gift, you show to other people that you're a pro-social person, that you're a good person, and people like that. They like to receive a good reputation because of that. So giving is rewarded socially. And I love this picture, which is from the Rijksmuseum. And it's called The Mayor of Delft and His Daughter. And it actually represents the complete opposite of what I'm just saying. He doesn't appear to care at all about his reputation. There's this beggar, and he's just being really like, I don't care, I couldn't care less. His daughter is turning away. And it's so intriguing that someone from the Golden Age would have his picture captured like this, as being anti-charity, anti-philanthropy. So for me, this is one of the most intriguing charity or philanthropy paintings there is out there. I really encourage you all to go see it in the Rijksmuseum. So reputation mechanism, it matters who asks you to give. So if someone who is close to you, for example, your partner, asks you to make a donation, you find it harder to refuse because you really care what they think about you. If your partner says, I think this is really an important cause, and you say, no, I don't care about it, that sends a big signal. So it's hard to do that. There's a lot of research also on how couples negotiate giving, and it's also very intriguing to see how one partner convinced the other partner that you should give or not give. But yeah, if a distant person to you asks you, it's easier to refuse. The reputation effect is also stronger when other people can observe you make a gift. This is, for example, also true in the church. When there's a collection basket coming along, you have to give, because otherwise people will perceive you as being non-generous. When there are more or stronger positive social norms for giving, again, in church, it's a good example. In a religious network, the norms for giving are very strong, and it's harder not to give when it's publicly observable. And when the group size is smaller, in a smaller group, people, you can better observe what people are doing. So the reputation effect is stronger when you participate in a small group. And one example of the reputation mechanism, I brought here the international circle from the Rijksmuseum, but it's of course the donor circles that museums and arts institutions have started, and we just talked about it as well. And I'd like to challenge anyone who works with these donor circles to raise the amount of money you're asking. I think 450 euros is just a small fee. It changes it into a transaction. What we learned from Renee as well is people care about the quality of the education they receive through these programs. It is like they enroll in an education program rather than being a donor. So I think if you want to have real serious donors, you have to raise this fee. Also because of the reputational effect. The true big donors, they don't care about 450 euros. You can ask them 500,000, maybe even more. And then you have a truly prestigious circle of donors. And people will care about belonging to that. Because especially in the Netherlands, people don't talk about their donations. But by saying, I belong to this prestigious circle, people will know what they have donated. So it's a very nice way for them to without communicating this, making the point that they're generous donors, but they don't want to talk about it. So this is the reputation mechanism. The second mechanism I could discuss is the psychological rewards mechanism. People give because they see themselves as pro-social people. I see myself as a pro-social person. I like to help other people, I like to give, and I want to confirm this self-image. This is what economists call the warm glow, or the joy of giving effect. And it has to do with the consistency motive. So if I see myself as a pro-social person and someone, my neighbor, knocks on my door and says, well, do you have a donation for this and this charity? And I say, no, I don't give to you. That not only offends my neighbor and I couldn't show myself in the street anymore, but also I say to myself, I'm actually not that kind of a pro-social person because I just declined the opportunity to give a gift. So you feel psychological rewarded by giving. And it's also something you can show through neurological studies. When you study in an fMRI scanner, when you study someone's brains, when they make donations, the area of the brain that is related to pleasure lights up. So it's truly a pleasure to make donations, to give. The last mechanism is the value mechanism I want to discuss. And the value mechanism for me is the most important mechanism, especially for fundraisers. So, as a fundraiser, if you want to connect to your donors, you have to think about what their values are. People are inclined to give to a cause because it aligns with their own values. They care about something, they want to change the world in a certain direction, and they can use their donations to do so. So as a fundraiser or working at an institution, if you can connect to people's values and bring them on a journey with you to change the world in according to those values, if you can align them, you can create a committed donor and you can make the donation experience much more meaningful, both for the donor and for the institution receiving the donations. So I really would urge you to focus on values. They can use charitable giving to change the world through that. One last slide, I'm sorry it's in Dutch. These are the 8 mechanisms. And what I did with Rob Beltman, we tried to make it more visible, especially for fundraisers, how you can use the mechanisms in order to understand what your donors want. So if you have a campaign, you can look at your fundraising campaign and see which of these mechanisms are embedded in your campaign. And then you can look at the donors who responded to that campaign. So if a campaign scores high, for example, on efficacy and altruism and reputation, and a donor responds to that campaign, you know these are the mechanisms that drive them to connect to your organization. And hopefully, through this, you learn something more about your donors, and you can connect with them better and bring them on a meaningful journey with your organization. Thank you.